to myself, what a wonderful world.
Welcome to Coffee, Coaching, and Conversations this morning. I am your hostess, Coach Ivy. I am the insightful, the incandescent, the incomparable Coach Ivy Allen. And today we're talking about redefining family after divorce. We're going to talk about co-parenting today. I'm going to give you 5 don'ts of co-parenting today. We're going to talk about the don'ts. We'll come back to the do's next week, but I'm going to give you 5 don'ts because I think that this is super important. I think before you can even start with the do's, you got to stop doing some stuff. And it is so easy to do stuff in the aftermath of divorce because you're already frustrated, you're already angry, you probably have a lot of support justifying the things that you are doing. A lot of people say, girl, I would do that, I wouldn't even do that. And you can get your parents are aligned with you. Don't give that anything. I wouldn't let him, right? And so you've got a lot of allies supporting you, whatever your issue is, and encouraging you to do things that probably aren't in your best interest or the best interest of your kid. But you do them anyway because you're mad, because you're sad, because you're hurt, because you're in pain, because he screwed you or she screwed you over, because they deserve it. The list is long and distinguished. I could go on here. Some of you probably can join in. If you feel me, you can put in your own comments in there. It's very cathartic to like, yeah, because he did me wrong, whatever. You got plenty of reasons why they deserve however you're treating them. But I'm going to give you a more compelling reason about why you need to stop doing some of these things because they don't serve you ultimately. And the most important reason is they don't serve your children. So one of the things I want to talk about is co-parenting is not about you. I really want people to get, this might be a little inflammatory, so I might piss some people off, fine, whatever. I'm here to do that because today I'm not just standing for you. I'm also standing for your children, and I'm standing for your ex. These are human beings on the planet who deserve love, who deserve acceptance, who deserve support, who deserve an opportunity to evolve beyond that where they are at this moment. And I'm standing for that. That's the kind of coach I am. That's the kind of human being I am. I believe in human evolution. I believe that we all have the opportunity to be the best version of ourselves. And that starts sometimes with us acknowledging that the people around us have an opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And the way we can support that is not to be a stumbling block, a roadblock, somebody who is determined to cut off their opportunity because we're pissed off. I am not minimizing the fact that you're pissed off. I am not minimizing the fact that you were hurt, but that is your work to do. It is not for us to project that onto people so that they have to do our work for us. So I really want to spend a few minutes before I set up the other thing to talk about that, because I think that is so important. One of the first things I talk about in my Fem Factor system is paying yourself first. And then the second thing is getting fit mentally, physically, and emotionally. I don't talk about that on accident. I talk about that because if you can't get yourself right, what we do is then expect the people around us to get it right on our behalf because we can't do it. For whatever reason, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, the energy, the capacity, the skills, whatever. You look to the people around you to make up for the gap, whatever the gap is in doing that. So if you're struggling with money in the aftermath of divorce, every time your ex pays alimony, doesn't pay alimony, pays child support, doesn't pay child support, forgets to pay a bill for the school, doesn't pay up for, you're going to be triggered because you're in a deficit mode around your own finances. If you're a woman whose financial ship is together and is sailing on her own, and your ship is tight and no holes, what he pays will feel like extra and a blessing. If he doesn't pay, that's between him and the courts. You're not involved in that because your stuff is tight. and you're not going to be concerned with what he's doing, except to the point that it's not a good example to show to your children. But that's a different conversation, one you can have with your children. His financial ability to provide resources for you will have no impact. If he does it, great. If he doesn't, great, because you are financially, you have your own economy and it's not dependent on him. So there's no trigger. There's nothing being pulled at you if he doesn't pay or does pay. Nothing being pulled. If you don't have enough money to make your rent and you need his child support, alimony, or whatever he's paying you to do that, it's going to be a freaking trigger every freaking month. If he's late, if he's on time, I deserve that money, or you'll be calculating that money as a part of your bills. That money factors into the decisions that you make every time you make decisions. All of that is all in the mix of your financial decision-making, your financial economy, because you are dependent on that money. And his failure to come through with it, or her failure, depending on who's paying, is a problem for you. And it's a major problem. And it's going to piss you off. And you're going to go after the person, and you're going to have a lot to say about what they are and aren't doing with their money, and why are you giving it to that so-and-so over there, and blah, 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 blah. He bought a new car and he can't even do this. It's going to be a thing, a situation. It's going to be a situation every time. You don't want that. So the reason I'm bringing this up for, and I use money because it's probably the easiest example that we can go to, is when we are not whole within ourselves, we expect the people around us to compensate for those gaps. And when they don't, it is a trigger. It's a situation. It's trauma or drama. So you got to get yourself right first. You got to get your healing. You got to do your own counseling. You got to get your own coach. You got to have your own workout plan. You got to figure out your own stages of grief, your emotional well-being, your own mental well-being, and get your mind wrapped around your voice. You got to do your work. Because if you don't, then these 5 things I'm going to talk about are the easiest thing to jump to, because you haven't done what you're supposed to do to heal yourself. Now, I don't say this because I'm coming down on anybody or anything like that. I say this because healing yourself, being emotionally grounded, being mentally stable and confident, being physically fit is bar none the best example you can set for your children. It is the best way to facilitate your healing after the divorce. It is the best way to facilitate co-parenting, healthy co-parenting relationships after divorce. Because if you're not those things, it is really, really hard to be in relationship with the person who hurt you. All right. So I'm encouraging you, do what you need to do to get yourself right, to get yourself solid, to get yourself whole, to get yourself healed in the aftermath of divorce. If you don't do it for any other reason, this is not about your ex. It isn't even about your kids, although they will directly benefit from that. It is really about you, because your life can't evolve, grow, change. You can't get the glow up. You can't become a diva of distinction. You can't, in many cases, get the job, buy the house, have the up level if you're not whole and well. Or even if you do those things, it's going to be a freaking struggle, because you're going to be fighting for everything, because you're fighting against yourself. Do yourself a favor and get the healing that you need. Claim the healing that you need and pay yourself first in whatever currency it takes for you to be whole in the aftermath of divorce. Your life depends on it. And so does your children's. All right, so let's get into this topic today. 5 things to not do when co-parenting. So I want to talk about this one, and I think I did a, it might've been a reel on this like a while back ago. Before I get into it, today's coffee, lemon water, no caffeine today, because I had caffeine earlier in a wake up drink, and I'm going to have caffeine as soon as I'm done with this for my pre-workout thing. So I didn't want to over caffeinate myself. So this is lemon water, good to flush the system, the kidneys. It's good for you. I hope you brought your green drink, pull it up. Hope you got your coffee, pull it up. I hope you guys are ready to chat with me, pull all that up, and let's get to it. All right. So now I can't get this thing here so I can see your comments. I'm trying to do that. And it's not working. Okay. I think I can mute now. All right, I got it. All right, so now our comments are going. So drop me a comment in the comment section. If you feel me, put feel you in there, or so that I know I feel you, girl. I got it. So I know what's going on. All right. So here we're going to talk about 5 things not to do when co-parenting today. I'm going to focus on what not to do. All right. So I want you to take yourself back to the schoolyard. Can you remember? It might not even be the schoolyard. It might be, a couple weeks. So maybe when you were married, you guys actually got down and dirty and fought like this. Anybody remember somebody saying something about their mother? Anybody remember somebody saying something about their father? Is that not the most triggering, where people are like, oh, you don't talk about my mother? Like they're calling you everything but a child of God and this and the thing. Your mother's whatever, and they feeling like, oh, your father. That's why your father didn't come home. That's why your father's sleeping with so-and-so down the street. That's why your father has another family, or whatever they say. That's just cruel and hurtful. As a kid, if you can remember how that felt, were those not fighting words? Was that not like one of the most triggering things, to have somebody say something about your mother? That's why your mother's right? It was triggering. Was it not? If it was triggering, put in triggered in the comments, because I know it was. People used to, it didn't even matter. They might not have even ever met my mother, seen my mother, knew my mother, me ever talked about my mother. But if they said something about my mother, it's like a dagger in your heart, and somebody is just doing like this. I mean, like it's painful, right? So the number one thing I want to tell you to do, and I took you back there for a reason, is I have seen parents talk smack about their ex to their kids like they are a bully on the schoolyard. It is the most demoralizing thing that I have ever seen. And I don't look at the mom or the dad that's saying it. I watch the kid's face, and they are crestfallen. It is a dagger in their heart, because you're not a bully when you are a bully when you're doing this, but you're not some kid on the schoolyard that they can stand up to. You're their mother talking about their father. You're their father talking about their mother. And what's even worse and weirder about this is you picked them. You can't stand my mom, but you married her, or she's the mother, or you made love to her and she's my mom. You can't stand my father, but y'all lived together before I even got here, and y'all are married. Like, you picked them, and now they are everything but a child. I cannot tell you how much in a kid's mind that it makes no sense. And it is the most painful thing you can do as a parent, is to talk smack to your kid about their other parent. There is a powerlessness in that for children that is debilitating and demoralizing. It puts them in a position where they cannot speak up for themselves because you will consider it disrespectful. They feel like they have to defend the other parent, even if what the other parent did was really sucky. It was a cornholio move, and they know it's wrong, but I feel like I should defend my mom or dad because my mom or dad is talking smack about my mom or dad. I can't even tell you, the grossness of it, to witness it. I've witnessed it. I have witnessed it firsthand, and I've experienced it like from other people. It is the most horrific thing that you can do to your kids. Do not talk smack about. That is between you and your ex. He might be the most horrible, most toxic, horrific person. She might be the witchiest witch that ever witched on the planet. You don't have the right to talk about that person to your kid. You don't have the right to talk about mom or dad to The kid, they're a kid. They don't process the level of hurt or pain or shame that you've gone through with this person as a partner or as a baby mama or whatever your scenario is. And you're dumping, you are unloading all of your crap about how you feel about that relationship onto the kid in that moment in the form of an insult to their mother or father. Don't do it. It is the most hurtful thing for a child to experience that. For a few reasons. Not only are you talking about their mama and daddy, they are a part of their mother and father. So every nasty thing you say about the father, the kid is thinking, does she hate those things about me? I look just like my father. Does she feel that way about me? Every nasty, mean thing you say about the mother, the kid is thinking, does he feel that way about me? I look just like my mom. Does he not love me like he doesn't love my mom? You want to talk about the genesis of mommy and daddy issues? Let's start with you talking smack about somebody's mom or dad while they are in their developing formative years. They internalize that. They're never going to tell you. They may tell you when they grow older, but when they're young kids, they're never going to tell you how hurtful that is. And they just internalize it. And that's the story they tell themselves about themselves. You already just sprinkled the potion of roadblocks all over them. You just cast a spell with your words over what they think about themselves by what you're saying to them about their mom or dad. People take that in. Do not do that. If you have to say, excuse me 1 second, and go mutter under your breath, if you have to go write it out and journal it, if you have to call up a girlfriend, a lifeline, a boyfriend, or whatever, and say, you know what, I'm so pissed off, I just can't stand it. Or even talk to your counselor, because some of us do get triggered. You do see your ex in your kid, and it's triggering, but you can't unleash that onto your kid. You got to go talk to a counselor. You got to go talk to a coach. You got to go join a support group and say, what do I do when my son does the thing that his father does and it drives me crazy? It's not his fault. It drives me crazy because when his father used to do it. It might even be something when you guys started dating you thought was cute. How many of us thought was like, write cute in the comments. There was something you thought was cute, and then toward the end of the marriage, you couldn't stand it when he did that. Couldn't stand it, right? Now your kid does it, and it's not cute. You can't stand it because your last memory of is when your ex used to do it, right? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You need to get a hold of the stuff that comes out of your mouth about your ex to your children. It is not their fault you're divorced. It is not their fault you broke up. It is not their fault you're not together. It is not their fault that you are not working out. Hey, Darian, it's not their fault. So you need to get a hold of what comes out of your mouth. Do not talk about your ex in a nasty, vile, I can't stand the way they do XYZ to your children. Those feelings have nothing to do with your kid. Don't do it. They're part of both of you. They have good things that are part of both of you and things that you wish that they didn't have. There are times my kid does stuff, it drives me crazy, not because of her dad, because of me. It's exactly like the things that drive me crazy about myself. I'm sure they drove him crazy, but he doesn't tell her that. He might say it to me. We're good friends. So he'll say, oh my God, she has your laugh. I'm like, I know. If of all things, my laugh is loud. As I've gotten older, I've embraced it. My laugh is loud. You can hear it. It's fine. She laughs exactly like me. And he goes, oh my gosh, she has your laugh. He doesn't berate her about that. That's something we joke about, right? It's not about her telling her those things. All right. Number 2. Do not ask them to carry messages. Your child is not AT&T, USPS, Google, Outlook. They are not your messenger service. They're not a carrier pigeon to take notes. Do your own talking directly to your partner, your former partner, your baby mama, your baby daddy. Do your own talking. Do not ask your kid to carry tales. You are putting them in grown folks' business. There is no business that they have in grown folks' business. If you can't talk to your ex, have a conversation with them in love, text them yourself, leave a voicemail yourself, send an email message yourself. Don't put them in the middle of your ish. It's none of their business. They deserve to inform their own opinion about their mother and father on their own. If he is a jerk, they'll figure it out soon enough. If she is a witch, they'll figure it out soon enough. They don't need your opinions. People are the people that they are, and they're going to be the people they are. And it might turn out he's just a jerk with you. Everybody else loves him. She's just mean to you. Everybody else loves him. That don't have nothing to do with your kid. Nothing to do with your kid. He may be a great father and wasn't a good husband or partner. She may be a wonderful mother and wasn't a good wife or partner. That's between you two. It's got nothing to do with them. Don't carry tales. If you cannot have a civil conversation with them, send an email, send a text, talk to an attorney. You guys use your own carrier pigeon, messenger, Voxer. Y'all can leave longer voicemail, messenger, figure it out. Y'all are grown-ups. You figured out how to talk before the kid got here. You can figure out how to talk after the child is here. You do not need to have them be your carrier pigeon, your AT&T. They are not your carrier service to take your messages in any form to the other person. That's not what their job is. They're children. Let them be children, and you do you with your former partner. All right. Number 3. Do not use your kids to manipulate your ex. So if he or she isn't doing what you want him to do not use the kid as the dangling carrot or the reason why something doesn't happen. He did not pay me, whatever, child support. I'm not going to tell him about the final playoffs for the baseball game for the kid. Come on now. Really? You have, go back to number 2, a conversation, send a text message, send an email, talk to a lawyer, talk to your, what do they call those? Your mediator about that issue. That's what you do about that issue. You still let him know when the son's playoff game is so he can show up. You still let him know when the daughter's recital is. It's his daughter too. You still let her know that you would like to take her away for the weekend to see your mother. You don't just abscond with her for the weekend and not tell them that y'all are going to be out of town. Like, you still include them on the things that are meaningful. Where's your child going to be? What are the things that your child is up to and participating in? Where do they need you to show up? You still communicate those things. This is not the time to manipulate. Well, he didn't do X, and so I'm not going to do Y. I'm not going to tell him about the recital. I'm not going to tell him about this. I'm not going to tell him about the good grades. I'm not going to tell him that we went to Chuck E. Cheese to celebrate. He's going to be in the playoffs. The parent, whoever it is, deserves to know what is happening with their kids. Figure it out. Figure out how to include them. Your kid is not a bargaining chip for them to do what's right by you because of the aftermath of your marriage. Well, he didn't call me, so you know what? I'm not going to tell him what time it is. Come on, you got, like, really? Is this what we're doing now with our kids? You will deny your kid access to their parent because he didn't do something as an ex-husband for you, or she didn't do something as an ex-wife. The two don't have anything. You got 2 lanes. Parent track, ex-partner track. They don't have anything to do with each other. If he was supposed to be at the recital and you were supposed to give him the time, give him the time. Your kids aren't the bargaining chip because he didn't do something in this lane. They're not. Do not use your kids to manipulate your ex. It's not fair to your kid. They feel caught in the middle all the freaking time. Then they go, well, I don't know if I should tell dad because I want my father to come to my recital. And then I don't know if I should tell him because he's going to be pissed off that mom didn't tell him. And then he might not show up. Now I don't know what to do. You put your kids in that position all the time by not disclosing information that parent to parent, the other parent should know. Now, if he's not interested or she's not interested and doesn't show up, that's on them. Like I said, if the person is not a good parent, it will be revealed to the child. but you won't be the one revealing it. The other parent is going to show that kid who they are, because they're not going to show up, because they're not going to call, because they're not going to be available. They're not going to do the things that they're supposed to do as a parent. They're just not going to do it. And it's not because you didn't tell them. It's not because they didn't know. It's not because they didn't have the information. It's because that's who they are. But you don't have to be the roadblock to demonstrate that to the kid. All you have to do is give the information, whatever. If it's a shared Google Calendar and all you do is send a message that says, check the Google Calendar, little Jane or little Jimmy has an event. That could be your communication. Y'all have a shared Google Calendar. Everything for the kid is on the Google Calendar, and all you do is send a text message, added something new to the calendar, please check it. That's it. Y'all don't have to be lovey-dovey and cutesy and all connected and warm and fuzzy and all that. If you can create that, I think that's wonderful. I was very fortunate. I had a very amiable, loving, and supportive co-parenting relationship by design, by the way. I created it. It didn't like fall out of the sky and everybody was like, it was such a wonderful time and being married to you was a cakewalk. And we just love each other so much and don't want to be, that was not our story. But we've consciously created a relationship. We did have a shared Google Calendar, but we talked. I would say, don't forget, we have this. I texted, I emailed, we had a shared calendar. He knew when her events were. If he couldn't make her events, he would say, can I be on speakerphone? I cannot tell you how many video live stream concerts I did because he wasn't in town at work, but he wanted to be there. He was at every one of them live. I never denied him the opportunity to be a father. She was not the manipulating chip that I used to get him to do anything. I went to him, woman to man to woman, or woman to woman, man to man, whatever your deal is. I went to that person, adult to adult, and let him know what was going on, when it was, what the daughter would like, and that she might bring it up, and she probably was going to ask him directly. He had a heads up. Now, he could choose not to come, but it wasn't because I was in the way. That's his choice, because it's ultimately his relationship with his daughter. He could choose not to come, but that's up to him. And the relationship with his daughter is between my daughter and him. Now, unless he is toxic, abusive, doing something unethical, illegal, yeah, of course, as a parent, if you've got a co-parent in that camp, you need to take steps to be proactively prudent around exposure and what the actual parent is doing with the kid. If it's just you don't like him, and he gets on your nerves, he pisses you off, you're still upset that he cheated, spent all the money out of your savings account, had a family across town, or she never cooked and cleaned, she cheated or whatever, you're still upset about that. That don't got nothing to do with her showing up at a recital. It doesn't. Just tell her when the recital is. She gets to choose to show up, and it's they get to create the relationship with their kid. It's up to them. All right. So don't use your kids to manipulate your ex. If he's not doing what he's supposed to do, if she's not doing what she's supposed to do, adult to adult, you take it up with them directly. Don't put your kids in the middle of that mix. All right. Number 4, don't cut them out of your life or refuse to coordinate, like ghost, ignore, any of those things. Like, if they don't find out from little Jimmy or Jane, I'm not talking to them at all. Like that, the silent treatment, which is what a lot of parents do. I don't talk to him. Well, does he know such and such? Does he know the kid is in the hospital? Nope. I don't talk to him. Don't you think that that's important? Nope. I don't care if he shows up or not. Don't cut them out of your life. You're not just cutting them out of your life. You're cutting them out of your kid's life. Now, once again, like I said, if your former partner is doing things that are illegal, unethical, they have a lot of toxicity, they are abusive, anything like that, where it is like a bona fide issue. And a lot of people who have bona fide issues, they actually have sole custody and the person has supervised visits and they're in counseling things. If you have those issues, that's different. You have to really be careful about how much exposure you allow the other parent to have. I'm talking about your normal run-of-the-mill average relationship where you've just decided, I'm just never talking to him again about anything, or I'm never talking to her about anything. And you're missing out on getting support from this person. You're missing out on having this person be in your kid's life. you're missing out on giving your kid a different kind of family. I'm not saying y'all have to be, again, lovey-dovey, but you can't not tell them what's going on. A perfect example of that is, what if your kid, they find out there's some genetic issue or a medical challenge? There's a whole other side of medical history you might not know about, that the person could actually be supportive in helping your kid get well. There's all kinds of things that you may not know about your partner's family history for whatever reason. You didn't talk about it. They might have had a lot of shame around it or a lot of guilt around it. And you don't find out till your kid has something and they say, my Aunt Sally died of that. What? I didn't know about that. Well, that's important. It's important for the doctors to know that this could be a genetic issue, and it tells them where to look. But you are so pissed off, right, that you're not, I don't care. He's just not going to know he's in a hospital. But there actually might be information there. What if you go into a recital and somehow or another you're late, or you're stuck at work and you need them to call and pick them up? You are denying yourself access to support because you just don't want to have anything to do with them. And you are being punitive, right? The reason you're ignoring, cutting them out of your life is you're trying to punish them. Now, a lot of people will say it's for my own peace of mind. I call BS. It's for your own peace of mind. You don't have to talk to them. But if you aren't sharing information with them about their kid, that's going back to number 3. That's manipulative, right? I understand people have toxic, abusive, narcissistic. These people are about that life somehow or another, and it's not a life you want your kid to be. I understand about that, where you're saying this is the boundary. The way in which they live their life is not only unhealthy for them, it would be unhealthy for my kids to get. I get that. And that is a horrible decision to have to make for any person, that it rests on their sole shoulders to make that decision for their kid. And we do it lovingly and proudly, because if the former partner isn't really truly good for the kid, they shouldn't be in the kid's life if it's going to take them down the path, or their interaction in the child's life should be minimized so that it's not impactful, right? I totally get that. But if you're just like, he gets on my nerves, I don't want to deal with him, he just pisses me off, I get triggered. Let's go back to what I said at the beginning. Get support. You figure out how not to get triggered. If you have to send your own carrier pigeon, you have to communicate via email, text message, and calendar. You figure out how to communicate what is important about that kid to that person, and then let them make the decision at the level of interaction they're going to have. But you don't get to ignore them and cut them out of you can cut them out of your life, daily interaction. But remember, as a parent, you're cutting them out of their other parent's life too. And they have the right to have their father and their mother in their life. It's not about your past relationships. Some people are crappy partners, and phenomenal parents. Make the distinction, understand the difference between the two, get healing around the partnership so you can allow them to be a good parent. Everybody deserves good parents. And if you guys have done any self-improvement work, the first place they go is where? Who knows? You can drop it in the comments. Everybody knows. They make you do your parent work. They make you go back and have a conversation with mom. They ask you about your mom. They ask you about your dad. And if what you have to say is, I didn't know him because my father or my mother kept me away from them, that is not a great story to tell. Now, if they might have done that if it was because my father or mother was incarcerated. They were a murderer. They had a drug problem. They were abusive. Totally get that. But if it was my mom and dad didn't get along and they fought like cats and dogs, and so I never knew who my father was, that's a horrible thing to do to a child. It's horrible. Now, if the child meets with them and then after a while says, they're not a great person, mom, I'm very uncomfortable around mom or dad, or I don't think that this, and a third, and there's reasonable, then okay, that's different. You can look into that as a parent. You can actually have a conversation, again, adult to adult, about what's happening. You can take a look at that, but you can't unilaterally make that decision unless there is something really, really horribly wrong with the person in terms of the way in which they live their life would be detrimental in terms of influence and activities for the child. So no ghosting, cutting them out. I don't want to deal with them. You don't have to deal with them. You can deal with them over email, text. You can choose a mediator. But if they're not doing any of those horrific things, your child has the right to interact with their other parent. And number 5, Do not weaponize your children. I can't say enough about this. I have seen this so many times. It is a painful thing to witness, where the mother or the father is using the kid to hurt the other parent. They're weaponizing their children. I want you to tell your mother that she hurt your feelings when she didn't show up to this. I want you to tell your mother how much you love your new stepmother, and let her know that she took you shopping and y'all had a good time, because the person knows that that's going to hurt the mother. I want you to tell your father that so-and-so bought you a new bike and he's been taking you out riding every day. I want you to tell your father how hurt you were when he didn't call and he lied to you. Those types of things. You can say you should talk to your father about how you feel, because it's important that your father get the impact of the scenario on you. And I think you should have that conversation. And I can support you in that, but I think you should tell him the truth about how you feel. That's a different thing than tell your father that he lied to you and that he is a terrible father, and that if he's going to keep doing this, then you don't want to be around him. You don't put words in your kid's mouth. Let the kid decide how they want to handle having a conversation with their father. Have a conversation with them about it. Don't weaponize your kids. People pour filth and filth into their kid's head and then send them to be with the other parent so that the kid just regurgitates what the mother or father has said about the other parent. Don't do that. They get to have a relationship with their father, even if he is a jerk. They get to have a relationship with their mom, even if she is a witch. They get to do that. That's his or her mother. How many of us have relationships with our mothers and fathers today? And we're like, it's a trip, right? They may not have been the greatest parents. They're good people. Some people are better people than they are parents. Some people are better partners than they are parents. Some people are better parents than they are partners and people. It's a human situation. Everything is humans are on a different, we all have these different continuums. You don't have to be perfect at everything. Many of us are not perfect at everything. Some of us are really good at one thing and we just ride that until we die. And that's fine. But allow your kid the ability to have that discernment, that experience of their mother or father for themselves. Unless the kid is really being psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, or physically damaged when they're in the presence of their parent, give them the space to figure it out. I promise you, if they're not a good parent, the kid figures it out anyway. Nobody has to say that. My father was a great philosopher. He was a really good, big thinker. He was fun and he was funny. He was not the best father. It wasn't like his wheelhouse. He meant well. He was loving. He was a loving father. He loved me. I never doubted that, but he wasn't very present. He wasn't very up on top of the things that I was up to. He wasn't very in tune to me. That's who he was as a human being. It took me a very long time to get to where I could understand, oh, I get it now. I understood my father when I got older as a man and not just a dad. As a dad, there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of stuff there as a man, but it informed me how he was as a dad. And then I could be forgiving, loving, and accepting because I got it. Like there's stuff that, he was never going to, he wasn't the cul-de-sac father that was going to play soccer with the kids outside. That's not who he was. My father didn't even play soccer on his own. He wasn't a workout kind of guy. He wasn't like a sports, he was a big thinker, philosopher, a reader. That's who he was. He was a big talker. He liked to talk. So if you wanted his time and attention, get him into a conversation. That's the kind of dad he was. He would talk to all my friends. He'd be in a conversation with all my friends. He took us to movies and things like that and did stuff, but he wasn't that dad that some girls have that dad that drive them every place, that show up to every recital, he showed up to most of my stuff, not everything, but a lot of it, the major stuff. But some fathers are like that. My daughter's dad pretty much was at almost everything she ever did. He never missed. And if he did, he video conferenced. He asked me to video conference. Even parent teachers, he would block the time off on his calendar and call in if he couldn't be there in person. He really was committed not to miss any of her life. That's the kind of father he was, right? Just different. Everybody's different. Do not weaponize your kids so that it kills their ability to have a parental relationship with somebody who might otherwise be a really excellent parent and not just a great partner to you. And sometimes even that's personal. He may not have been a good partner to me, but I'm quite sure there are women he would be a phenomenal partner for. It just wasn't me. I'm past all that, but I'm not going to deny, I would never deny him the ability to be a good father to his own daughter. All right. So going back over it, first, don't talk about your ex to your kids. Don't talk smack about your ex to your kids. They don't have nothing to do with that. Do something else. Talk it into your phone, call your boy, call your girl, download with them, whatever, write it, however you need to do it. Don't do it to your children. They deserve to not feel like a bully's talking about their mama or daddy on the schoolyard. And it turns out it's their mama or daddy talking about their mama or daddy. That's just icky, right? Don't ask them to carry your messages. Talk adult to adult. You got something to say to your ex? Call them up, text them, send them an email, use a mediator, use a coach, do what you need to do. That is an adult conversation. Kids don't need to carry your messages to and from mom and dad. That's not how it works. Don't use your kids to manipulate the other person. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, once again, adult to adult, have an adult conversation about that. There's no manipulation. They don't get to see the kid, not to see the kid. They don't get to interact with them, get to come over and all that. And your kid is the manipulating force that you're using to get them to do whatever it is you're using to get them to do. Number 4, don't cut your partner out of your life as a punishment. I'm never going to talk to them. I'm not going to tell them about the recital. I'm just going to ignore them. They don't get to know anything about me or the kids or anything. You're not, and people will say they're doing it for peace, but you're doing it to punish them. You're not only taking yourself away, you're taking your kids away. If you don't want to talk to them and don't want to deal with them yourself, don't. But they deserve to have the information with respect to their children. All right. And 5, don't weaponize your children. Don't weaponize your children. You do not have to plant bombs in their psyche so that when the next time they see their father, they explode and tell him, you know, you're a lousy person and you're this and this and this. And trust me, he can tell, ladies, because the kid is using language a 7-year-old would never say on their best day. Even if you've got the smartest 7-year-old on the planet, they just wouldn't language it that way. They're retelling your story. Same thing for you, dads. If some kid is coming over there and telling some stories about, you know, and using big 50-cent words, the mother knows that isn't your son's words or your daughter's words. Those are your words that you planted in there. Don't weaponize your children. Your children don't need to be in the middle of your mix. If you got something to say, remember, adult to adult. Get on the phone, send an email, do what you need to do, get a mediator, talk to them adult to adult. Better yet, in this case, get your healing. No person should be weaponized in a relationship with another person. That goes to anything. Your brother and sister shouldn't be weaponized when you're trying to get back at your mom. Your mom shouldn't be weaponized when you're trying to get back at your sister or your father. No person should be used as a weapon against another person. That is one of the most painful, to have someone else say they poisoned my mother, my sister, my father, my kid against me. It is hurtful. Do not weaponize your children against your former partner, your ex. All right. So I hope this was insightful to you. If this was helpful to you, I encourage you, share this with someone out in the world. Parents need to hear this stuff. We are hurting, and we're hurting because divorce is painful. And for a lot of us, we shoulder the pain of divorce by ourselves. We just plow through. I don't have time for counseling. I don't have time for coaching. I don't have money. I don't have fill in the blank. I'm not interested. I don't need it. We shoulder all of that stuff. And then we do these 5 things, right? You start weaponizing your kid. You start ignoring your ex. Sorry. And these 5 things are detrimental to your kids. Your kids are ultimately who pays for you not taking the steps to be whole, to be healed, to do your work, to do your work. I can't say it enough. Do your work. Divorce isn't easy. You're going to need something to move past it. Even the best of us, even the happiest of divorces, even like we got married for 6 months and for whatever reason, and then divorced, even some of those, it's still painful. It still sits in your psyche as a good choice, a bad choice, a choice you wish you hadn't made. You miss them, you don't miss them. It was a miserable 6 months. It was the best 6 months of your life, and now it's not there. There's still stuff there you need to move through. Give yourself permission and the time to heal and move through it. And if not for your sake, for the sake of your kids, your children watch everything you do. They're listening to everything you say. They take on who you are being in the world. They don't do what you say. They be who you are. If you're a person that is all men are crap and treats men like that, including their father, what do you think they're going to internalize about men and relationships when they grow up? And no, they're not going to say, Mom, I realized you really, are not over dad yet. And do you think you should get some healing? At least not till they're in their 30s or 40s and they're going through their own divorce. And then it might come out like this. I really wish you had done your work when you were divorcing dad, because then maybe I wouldn't be divorcing my husband. That's usually how it comes out, where there's a lot of blame and hurt. Give yourself permission to do your work, to be supported, to get past your divorce, to get past the issues you had with your ex, to get past the issues you might have with your parents' divorce, so that your kids have a shot at having a healthy, loving relationship and creating a healthy, loving family in the future. Do your work. If you need help to do your work, that's what coaches are for, counselors are for. And you don't have to use me, use somebody else, use somebody you feel comfortable with, but get there, get somebody, be supported. I am creating a new program to help you transform your life after divorce. I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to take a couple minutes to share a little bit about it with you. So now that you aren't focused on your divorce, this is really for people who have either are divorced or imminently getting divorced. They filed, this is the path that they're on. They really are ready to reinvent or reclaim their life. Most of the people that I coach have already been divorced, right? You are not focused on that anymore. Once that chapter is closed, now you get to open a new chapter. There's a blank canvas. And most of us are kind of sitting there with the now what? If you're anything like me, the marriage was like the culmination of this like pinnacle. And then it didn't go like I had. So I didn't really have much thought after that. I was really actually, after I got married, was thinking I was going to be focusing on career and kids. And I did focus on those things, but I didn't have another vision or purpose for my life beyond that, because I thought I was going to be married and we were going to create this shared vision together, which didn't happen. So it was really important for me to figure out what's next for me in a powerful way, something that was compelling, something that was moving, something that was exciting as I thought being married would be. And the other thing I realized too, and some of you may realize this, especially women, we're so programmed to be married and it is the end all be all. I don't know that I ever talked to one woman when I was growing up that talked about anything else but family, kids, and the possibility of a career. There wasn't this, what is your purpose? Who are you meant to be? And all. There wasn't any of that when I was growing up and getting married. None of that was on when I was doing it. And so when you hit that pinnacle and then it's disappointing, or it doesn't work out, or you don't stay in it, that's another disappointment. It's the death of a dream. And where do you go from there? So this program is really for women who are tired of feeling worn out, worn down, dull, lackluster. Like there's this kind of drop off after you get divorced. It's like, so now what? You feel worn out. I'm tired. I'm worn down. I just want to break. I need to like do something different, but I don't know what. This is for women who are tired of putting everybody else first. You finally got through the divorce, but now it's all about your kids. Now it's all about maybe your extended family. And for some of us, we still feel now, like even now she's telling me it's got to be all about him and the co-parenting. I'm not actually saying that, but a lot of times that's how we hear things, right? You are really ready to put yourself first and create a new life, one you can't wait to wake up for. This is for you if you're tired of checking out social media and comparing yourself to other people, other friends that you might know personally, other icons that you love and respect, and feeling like you're coming up short. This is for you if you're tired of feeling bored or boring, like wondering, is this all there is? Like, is this what I was born to do? Like, drop my kids off in the cul-de-sac, do soccer practice, go to work, and have the occasional lunch with my girlfriends. Is this it? Is this really it? So if you are in any of those places, then this is for you, because this program is going to help you put yourself first, pay yourself first. You get to do that. That's how you create an exceptional life. And no, it's not selfish. And no, I'm not telling you to disregard anything with your kids. When you teach your kids sovereignty, how to own yourself, your dreams, how to pay yourself first, how to be responsible and accountable for the life that you create, that is the bar none best skill you can teach your kids. Not only is it a skill that is in demand in the workplace and the marketplace, it is a skill that is needed in order for you to have the life of your dreams. You cannot create it getting on somebody else's plan. You cannot create the life of your dreams being on somebody else's agenda. You cannot create the life of your dreams playing somebody else's game. You get to put yourself first and play your own game. And that's what this program is going to teach you about. If you want to fall madly in love with yourself, I mean your entire self, your body, your look, your clothes, your face, your emotionality, your laugh, my loud laugh. I wouldn't say I'm in love with it, but I'm almost there. I like it a lot. I know that it's uniquely me, right? I get that. So we're all on this journey. I'm probably a sliver away from being totally in love with my laugh, but I'm in love with one thing I didn't used to love, my freckles. I love them. They're charming. I flirt with them all the time. You know what they say about women with freckles? That's for you to figure out. All right. If you want to redefine your family in the aftermath of divorce, I had the privilege and the pleasure of creating a vision for my family and living and ushering my family into that vision. I've shared before many times, her dad and I are great friends. We are supportive of each other. The thing that we know is that if he's happy, my daughter's happy. If I'm happy, my daughter's happy. So we have always stood for one another to be happy in service of my daughter being happy. That's co-parenting. That's having a vision. That's being committed to something beyond trying to screw each other over forever and ever, amen, because I got done wrong. We did each other wrong. We're over it. Now, here's how we make it right, creating an amazing life for the kid that we brought into this world. You get to redefine family with your definition, that's mine, so that your kids get to grow up and still have family. It might not look like the programming that we had with the 2.3 kids and the white picket fence and the cul-de-sac, but it's going to look like a more healthy, loving version, because it's going to be your version of what you really and truly want in your heart, and what is best for your children, and what supports you being in a loving co-parenting relationship. If you want to reclaim your femininity, your feminine essence, the je ne sais quoi that makes you who you are, the thing that you had before you met your spouse, the thing that made you strut, the thing that made you put on that lip gloss and rock it like nobody's business, the thing that made you become a woman of exception, the thing that made him choose you, the thing that made you available to be chosen, that is your feminine essence. If you are ready to reclaim that or redefine that, this program is for you. And lastly, if you are ready to live from passion, your own passion, create your own purpose, and reclaim your glow up diva style, right? Diva as in not difficult. Diva as in divas take the stage. They take the stage. They step out. They do their thing. They own the stage. And in this program, you're going to own your life. It is a 10-week course. You can do the 10-week course, or for those people that love the VIP, the extra, and want to do it extra fast, you can add a VIP day onto it. For those people that like fast action, there's like, nope, I'm going to front load. I'm going to do a VIP day and then go through 10 courses, because you know what? This is the summer of me. I'm going to be on it, right? We start May 17th. I will drop the link in the comments for you to take a look at, so you can take a look at the page. Everything is there. If you have questions about it, please feel free to book a call. We can do a Q&A session. There's no obligation on the call. But if you are ready to reinvent and reclaim your life in the aftermath of divorce, you are ready to reinvent and reclaim your entire self, to be the version of you that you've always wanted to be, not the version of you that you've been programmed to be. We all got programmed as kids. You just want to get married and have a good career and be a mom and all that. Maybe that's what you really wanted to do. And maybe you wanted to do something else. And for the first time in your life, you can give yourself permission to do that. If you want to create your own financial economy, whatever that looks like to you, so that anything that your spouse does, your former spouse does for you is extra, it's a bonus. It's like a love offering. You got your own economy. You do your own thing. You live a good life regardless of what anybody else is doing, right? I am a huge fan of that. It takes a lot of the trigger out of divorce when you can do your own thing with or without their contribution, right? And I'm not saying they shouldn't contribute. I'm saying if they do or if they don't is not your issue. You are focused on your own economy and you do you and you take care of yours. That is what this program will do for you. If you want to redefine, recreate, reclaim your femininity so that your actual radiance exudes no matter what you are doing, right? You can become that once in a lifetime kind of woman that you've always wanted to be, that you know that you are, but you need to just dust her off. Let her out, unleash the actual radiance. If you want to redefine your family in the aftermath of divorce in a way that is healthy, loving, and supportive of you both, and if you want to step up your faith in yourself, your faith in your higher power, your faith in your children, your faith even in your partner, and your faith in your ability to be in a new relationship, this is the program for you. It's called Breakthrough Secrets to a Sexier Life. You want to definitely get in on this. We start May 17th. It's a small and intimate program. I don't take a lot of people in the program, so I would love to have you in it. If you think this would be good for somebody else, share the link out. If you think this would be good for you, click the link, take a look at the program. If you have questions about the program, you want to talk more about it, click the link. Let's get on a call. Let's talk about it. All right. So next week, we're going to be talking about 5 things you should do when co-parenting, how to create this beautiful co-parenting relationship. I'll tell you more about my co-parenting journey next week. And I'll give you some tips on how to really solidify a healthy co-parenting relationship. So we can talk about that next week on our next Coffee, Coaching, and Conversations. I look forward to seeing you all next week. You guys know what I'm off to do. I'm off to get down, get that workout in, get that workout on. Much love to you. Have a great weekend.
I think to myself, what a wonderful world.